Happy New Year. I hope everybody had a nice and pleasant Christmas holiday with your families. We're now at the end of that weird space between Christmas and New Year's. For some people, the holidays, the season itself lasts through the end of December and well into the first weeks of January. This is something I just recently learned. And some people, obviously, right after Christmas, it's like the holidays are done. And then for many of us, though, I would imagine the holidays, the season ends on New Year's Day. This is when all the lights come down, the tree comes down, all the decorations go back in the box for safekeeping until next year. And more or less, that's how we're treating it on this end, where probably, tomorrow, New Year's Day, we'll start taking down all the Christmas decorations and that'll be it. As such, because the holiday season technically isn't quite over yet, and there's still like the residue of Christmas is still kind of in the mix, I thought the last video of this year would be about one movie I actually wanted to talk about before Christmas, before my technical issues came up, before I had problems with my camera and everything else. And I thought I was really excited to talk about this movie when I saw it. I figured now is just as good a time as any as we close out the year, and I can't think of a more fun movie to close things out on. So bear with me and get ready as we discuss today's film. Better watch out. Let's talk about it. This was another one of those random watches. I have several of these reviews on this channel that have to do with films that were completely on a whim watches. They were things that I just kind of saw on the TV thing or saw a poster about and just like, you know what? Just out of nowhere, just press play and see what I'm watching. I found some really nice gems like that, ones that I would highly recommend. And this is another one that is, I think, one such gem that you have to be patient with it. You got to follow it for everything to pay off in a way that feels satisfying. But what is this movie about? This movie is called Better Watch Out, formerly called Safe Neighborhood, which I think is a lesser title. I think Better Watch Out is a much better title given the context and the goings on of the movie. And what this film is about a teenager. Well, it's about kids, a bunch of kids. The movie is just kids, young kids. So you have a teenage babysitter. It's a young woman who is a friend of the family, and she's babysitting this young boy who is around 12. She's 16 and he's 12. She'd been babysitting him since he was a child, like 7 or 8 or something like that. So for a good while. And the boy's parents are going away for a Christmas party or something like that. She's coming over to babysit, and she ends up having to protect him from would-be home intruders, only to discover that protecting the young boy from intruders is the least of her problems. And she discovers that she has actually a lot more to worry about than just protecting the boy. This movie, again, I didn't know what to expect. I had never seen it before. I didn't know anything about it. This movie stars Olivia DeJonge, Levi Miller, who I first learned about in the Peter Pan movie, who was great in that movie, and he was great in this movie, and Ed Oxenbould. They were quite young. They were all factual teenagers during the shooting of this movie. This movie came out around 2016, I think, and they were all great, but particularly Olivia DeJonge and Levi Miller, I think probably he's the standout in this movie. For one so young, he really gets to just like let loose. This is a movie that is I think you probably classify it as a Christmas thriller. There aren't too many movies like that. If it's a holiday film, you've seen plenty. There's holiday horror films, sure. So this is kind of, it dips into that territory, but I think this is really more in the vein of a thriller that is Christmas themed. And immediately I was hooked. That combination was enough to get me in. The next thing that was great is this is one of those movies that also takes place over the course of one evening in one place. It's like Die Hard or something like that, where not in terms of the execution, but it's one of the anything that takes place in one day, one night, one something, a single period of time, a single extended period of time, is always immediately cool because it comes with it. There's a built-in sense of extra tension. You have conflict among the characters and stuff, and because things have to be, things are going to be resolved in that one evening. There's another layer of tension. Are people going to get through it? What's going to happen? It's a shot of adrenaline, really, is what this movie is. And yet it doesn't feel rushed. It's a short-ish movie. It's probably like 90 minutes, a little bit less. And yet there feels like there's a ton of time for stuff to develop. The movie does a great job with setting up everything. You really get to see a deliberate buildup for when Olivia de Jonge's character comes into the situation, and she has a good relationship with the parents, a borderline flirty one with with the father, but it sets the tone for their relationship within the family. And then you also see how Luke, the young boy Levi Miller plays, responds to her. He has a crush on her. There's something that he's feeling, obviously, there. And the movie also sets up that there's something about him trying to. He's gonna plan on trying to hopefully get her to see that all the years she's been babysitting him, she's been seeing a child, and his plan really is to get her to see that he's not a kid anymore and that he's more mature for his age, that she will realize that she loves him and he sees this elaborate future for them. Now, of course, Ashley, she's 16. She's more experienced in life and stuff like that, so she's on a different plane of existence. She loves Luke. She really cares about him. She's watched him grow. But obviously that's not where she is. And this is where some of the initial conflict of the story comes in between these two characters. So in the background you have that, and then you also have this home invasion piece. That is another layer that adds to the tension of what's going on. And throughout the story, you are trying to figure out how this is you're trying to figure out how this is gonna shake out. And do the parties involved who are on the opposing end, are they going to get their just desserts? And for a long time, you're questioning what's going on. But I promise, if you stick with it, it will reward you. So this is one of the movies to do that with. It did me. I went through a range of emotions, and I think by the end, the movie does its job so well, where it puts you as the audience member and as a sort of observer of what's happening in a certain position. There are some things that make you question the logic of what's going on, why certain people will make certain decisions, whatever it is, as can be the case in most films that are in the horror / thriller genre. And this is done so that things can still happen, like plot still needs to happen. So you have to have characters making silly decisions. But thankfully, the lead characters are quite smart. And there are some, even though there's like some weird things and questionable things that happen, it's not done in a way that completely undercuts their intelligence. You have two opposing sides, ultimately, that still are competent in a way. And I think that is also what makes the movie good. Or it makes the movie better than you expect. You go in, on the surface, it doesn't look like anything. It just looks like, like a regular run-of-the-mill home invasion, scary-ish, unsettling movie that happens to be set at Christmas time. and that's it. But the more you watch, you start seeing how these characters think and the actions they take, and it's just so, and it's just very good. It's very tightly written. Again, like I said, it's not long. This is a it's a very packed movie, but in terms of just direct, clear character interaction, and everything gets looped back into the sort of central conflict, which is Luke is in love with his babysitter, Ashley, and everything that happens in the movie can be tied back to that central conflict, and how they interact is pretty solid, pretty sound, very tight writing. And the fact that it takes place in the house, in one night, is again extra. It makes it that much more intense. And there, but that said, this is not a hard thriller set at Christmas time. Because it's set at Christmas time, the Christmas time theme brings with it a sense of fun and lightheartedness. And this movie does not lose sight of that, even though there are some situations in this movie that are quite tense. And there are moments where you're trying to figure out how serious you should take what's happening on screen. And then there are moments that are clearly designed to that feel serious, but that have an inherent humor in them too. And sometimes it's done very well. Like the moments that are rough and funny, it are still there. And I think the actors, well, particularly Levi Miller, he's the only one. I think he's probably the only one in this film outside of the parents who aren't around very long. He's the only one who's having real fun. This is like it's a great I think masterclass of acting in terms of being free. Levi Miller seems very free in his performance here, and I really appreciated that for one so young. He was like, he might have been like, this was what, it's 20. He was like probably I think 13 or something like that in real life at the time. No, wait, how old was he? Yeah, 13-ish or something like that. He was a teenager. And he just like destroyed, he really, he was chewing up all the scenery. He's devoured the role, really. And it's fun to watch. It's fun to watch the transition from the beginning where he's contained, but barely. You can tell what we see later in the film from him is brimming just beneath the surface. There are pockets in the first third of the film where you could see where he could lash out or act out. But it's like it's kept just in enough control that we don't question it. He just feels like a typical, weird 12-year-old who's acting out while his parents are gone. That's what it starts out like anyway. But as we go through the movie, we start seeing more and more outlandish behavior from this kid. And it's great. It's fun to watch. It's actually quite a quite sharp performance. And at some points you feel sorry for him. At some points you just go, man, you're whack. You're a crazy kid. And then when you whittle all of that down, though, you just realize he's a kid. He's a boy who is misguided in his feelings. All young boys, you might have a crush on someone who's older, whatever it is, but and some people are really quiet about their crushes. And obviously Luke was one who had been quiet for long enough and decided to take action. And, I think I talked about this earlier in the year when I talked about this very thing that boys and young men and sometimes older men do when it comes to their feelings of, romantic feelings for someone else. There's something about just not really being logical in how you approach your feelings for this person. There's some cases where it doesn't make any sense for you to confess your love to this person. And, look, Luke is in a position where he thought he would, he saw things going differently, which is what I think most men do when they're really obsessed with somebody and really in love and really want to, or in infatuation with someone. And you do all these elaborate things to try to get this person's attention or get them to see you in a different way. If you've seen that, if you've known them for all these years, like Luke has, and he just went about things in a way that, when you're older, you can see. You can go, look, man, Luke, that's not the right way to go about this. The problem with Luke, there was no one there to tell him, yo, man, you're out of control. Well, he did have his best friend who was there, but his friend, Ed Oxenberg's character, who was the best friend, but I don't think his friend did a good job. Did a good enough job in trying to help him see the error of his ways and stuff like that. And that was likely because Luke, there are different dynamics at play where you have, some best friends, one person's the alpha, one person's is not. And then you try to find, a balance, and something about that relationship works, which is why they're best friends. But we come to see that, that Luke might have been a better friend. He might have been a better friend, and he might have been a better, person to Ashley. We come to see different things about Luke that make us question how he's acting and stuff like that. But all that to say that, again, Levi Miller did a great job at conveying all of these things. And it does make you feel, there's parts where you feel like, oh, shoot, man, dang, he was just a kid who was infatuation with somebody, didn't know how to express it, had an interesting and weird, not the best relationship with his mom, and that had an impact on him. And it was just come out in different ways. He just needed the right support system to help him negotiate those feelings better. And I don't think Luke had that, which is why we get the different situations and things in the film that we get. But that aside, that though is actually one reason I think to watch the movie. You watch Levi Miller, he does great acting. The writing by Zach Kahn and Chris Peckover is pretty sound. I'm with it. This movie was not meant to be the next this huge blockbuster thing making a whole lot of money. I think the movie knew what it was trying to be, and I think Kahn and Peckover knew the story that they were telling, and they kept everything in those confines. And because of that, I think it worked really well. This film was also one of those kinds of films that is two things. It is what you think it is going in, and it's also not what you think it is going in. And that's the main reason why I think you should watch it. And when you watch it, you see exactly, you'll know exactly what that is. The other thing I have to mention is Dacre Montgomery's performance, who you know from the 2017 film of Power Rangers. He was the Red Ranger. He also was from Stranger Things and many other projects. I was surprised to see him here. I think he turns in a very fun performance. He's not around for very long, but his presence is memorable, and he's fun. He's got some bounce to him. He injects the film with a little bit of just a little extra bit of electricity that piques our interests. It makes us question what's up with him and how is he gonna factor into the proceedings. I thought he did a sound job. It wasn't around for a long time, but it was a good time, and darn it, that's what you got to remember about him. Bottom line, Better Watch Out is a unexpected gem. This was another one of those watches that I was glad I just pressed play, and it felt like it was an unexpected Christmas gift. And I had to talk about this movie. I was so surprised by it. And I love when movies can create ways to still surprise you. Don't go into it expecting a masterpiece, because it's not that, but it is for what the film prepares to do, for what it promises us. It is very good in that regard. I don't know anyone else that's seen the movie. If you've seen it, let me know. I'm curious to know what you think about this movie, but I've been talking about it since I saw it, so I figured I had to talk about it here. So having said that, I think that's going to do it for this review of Better Watch Out. If you've made it to the end of this video, and as always, thank you for taking the time to watch. I really appreciate it. That's going to do it for 2025. I wish you all a very happy new year. I hope you enjoy the evening safely. Here's to stepping into 2026 with a little bit of hope. and excitement for just, all the best things that you hope for. And, of course, more movies. I'm going to get out of here, but take it easy, take care, and I will see you next year.